yesterday was Sunday, and I've transplanted all of these strawberries from the back here into the front, and I thought it's going to be like what, half an hour, 1 hour job max. Thing is, it took me about 5 hours. See, everything seems to be taking 5 hours, but all of these strawberries were in the back. I've showed you guys before. I had to bring them in front here, and then I have more inside, which I'm going to transplant today, because yesterday I just said I'll call it today, and that's it. It was like almost 8 p.m. I'll plant them all today here in the front. He ended up being about 65 or 70, some smaller, some bigger, but yeah, so some of them are on this side, and then the other ones are on this other side here. Mulched everything with wet straw, hoping that's gonna give them a bit of a head start, you know, help them establish better and produce a lot of delicious, fantastic, amazing, nutrient dense fruit for us. But the fun part with the strawberries is over for now. Good morning. Good morning to you, and to you, and to you, and to you. Not to you, because you're a dick, but good morning to you. So, I had already coffee. Now I'm down to my first tea of the day, some berry tree, which is fitting because I have more berries. So, last time when we bought some berry bushes, we had a couple of, actually 2 of them that were dead. One was a hybrid between the European blackberry and the classic, the European raspberry. So we found it again. It seems to be alive, so fingers crossed. And to be safe, we bought 2 of them, which seems to be 2 different variety of this hybrid. So we're excited to plant this today. Then we finally found something that I was looking for about a month. I think it's called honeyberry. It's very similar to a blueberry, only it has a longer fruit and it has like straight bottom. Then because it was on sale, we took another yellow raspberry. And next to the honeyberry, something that I was looking for a long time and that I want to plant here is this. I think it's called the cornelian cherry, and some people call it the European goji berry, because it's kind of the same. You can use it for medicinal properties and natural medicine. People make alcohol out of it, but I grew up on this thing because I used to go to the forest with my grandma and forage for it. So I love it because it's high in antioxidants. It has a sour sweet taste, and you can preserve it for winter. Like, you can dehydrate them and then you can add them to teas, and it's fantastic. And lastly, we found also hazelnut tree. I got one behind the house, which I'm going to multiply this year, hopefully, through, I think it's called air root pruning. I'll look into that and come back to you when I actually do it. But I think it's an interesting technique to propagate any type of fruit bearing plant tree. It has to have a wood structure to be propagated the way I'm gonna do it, but when we get to that I'll show you. And I'm gonna plant it. I'm gonna plant the hazelnut in the back as a windbreak, and make like a big hedge in time of hazelnuts. So this is the berry bushes and cornelian cherry that Monica found yesterday because I was here all day. I'm gonna plant this. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by the bumblebees who are coming for the flowers. Wish me luck. I would really like to finish this because from Monday I got so many things to plant. I already have the onion starts. I have the artichoke, the Jerusalem artichokes. Monica's buying some potato seeds, some 2 new varieties of potato seeds today, and then I'm gonna also start the main crops because I finally got my last starter seeds, starter tray seed. You know what I mean, starter seeds tray. With that being said, I'm gonna get to work because I have a lot of stuff to do, and just one day. Good morning. The birds are saying good morning as well. It's a beautiful day. I'm gonna have 3 beautiful days, today, tomorrow and Friday. So the fun part starts now. All the initial heavy duty work to prepare the land is done. Now we're gonna start actually planting stuff. I'll start with the root vegetables that are gonna be covered with straw. So I got 2 more varieties of potatoes. One is called belladonna and the other one is called irga, and they will be planted in those 2 beds that are not covered already. Apart from that, I have the Jerusalem artichokes that I'm gonna plant probably together with the sweet potatoes in that bed over here, because everybody says that sweet potatoes and Jerusalem artichokes or sunchokes, they just spread. So I'll use this bed that's already kind of bordered with wood. I'll use it as a medium to grow them, and they're also perennials. So for what I care, if I'm feeding the soil with FPJs and labs, they can stay there for as long as they want. Apart from that, I got the onions, 2 varieties of onions, which I'm gonna plant in this bed here. And if I run out of space in this bed, then I have that one as well on the standby, like a reserve. So I'm gonna plant all of this today, and if the time allows it and I'm really good on time, then I'm gonna prep the back area, which is that area over there. Prepping meaning I'm just gonna rake it so it's straight and easy to plant in, and then I'll plant. What is that? Okay, it's a cat. Oof. It looked like a big cat, like a Black Panther or something, but just, you know, my eyesight is failing as I get older. So as I was saying, I'll rake it, I'll make it nice and even, and then if I have time, I'll plant the corn, climbing bean bushes, and also the pumpkins. So that's let's see, if not tomorrow, that's the plan for tomorrow. But I'm really excited that I'm starting to plant already, and we got 3 more dangerous weeks, and because of that I'm just planting directly sowing the root crops that I'm going to be protecting with a deep layer of mulch. This week it's all about directly sowing resistant crops. If I manage to have the time, I'll even do the asparagus. So I was thinking, not sure if it's good, but I was thinking, because I got like 3 varieties of asparagus, to make beds all around the river, because I want to plant something that's going to hold the soil in place. So if I plant trees, they're going to shade up literally that side, the growing space. So I don't want to do that. So I was thinking that maybe asparagus would be a good idea to plant it all over that place, because it's a perennial. It lasts for 10, 15, 20 years after you plant it. It only starts fruiting after 3 years, so it's very similar to a fruit tree, but it sends its roots down 3 meters or 15 feet. So that kind of ticks all my boxes, you know, deep roots that are going to keep the soil in place, perennial, because I want to make it into a permaculture food forest type of garden. And also I love asparagus, so instead of planting willows and other trees that have benefits, I was thinking just planting a food crop in the form or shape of the asparagus. So yeah, maybe this is what I'm gonna do. Not 100% convinced yet, need to do some more research, but really not many options in the zone that I am here. So yeah, but right now in the morning I'm finishing my old batch of FPJ, so I need to soak these leftovers and get everything out of it, and then I have some fruits and veggies leftovers, and I'm gonna make another batch in the same bowl as this one after I've washed it all away and I've extracted as much FPJ as possible. So that's project number 1. After that, plant, enjoy this beautiful day. That being said, I will see you later on. It's about lunchtime and I'm getting really hungry, but before I go eat, I finished planting the potatoes. So I have this row done, that row over there done, and because I had extra that I could fit inside of these 2 rows, I had another row prepared. So now instead of 36 I have 37 rows. This is a mix of the 2 potato seeds that I had today. That one is belladonna and the other one is Jirga. So in total now I have 5 beds of potatoes, 3 here in the back and the 2 next to the fence. 5 rows, 3 different species or varieties of potatoes in total. Now I wanted to plant the sweet potatoes as well, but after some more research, because I basically wanted to just plant the tubers, after some more research, people said that it's better if you just do, you know, the Pinterest thing, and you put sweet potatoes in water, and then the starts, those beautiful leafy things that come from it, that's what you're gonna plant. So I've started that. I've cut some of them because they were humongous. So this is a bit of creek water and some FPJ, creek water, FPJ, and so on. So this is my sweet potato starting kit, and it's gonna stay here in the greenhouse, hopefully have success in the next week or so and produce a lot of shoots or starts, and I'll plant that in the back. What I will still do today is plant the Jerusalem artichokes or the sunchokes, and also the onion starts, but I'm gonna do that after lunch because I am starving right now. Also started making some of this naming poles. I got the tags from last year. I just didn't take a Sharpie today and some rubbing alcohol to remove the name. I'll get a Sharpie tomorrow and start writing down names. All of these 40 rows are gonna be really confusing. Look what we have here. Our friends ducks. This beautiful couple always comes around here. So nice of them. I love you. Sorry to bother you. I will get back. Okay, so really quick now what I'm gonna do is plant the Jerusalem artichokes. Not much work that needs to be done apart from getting some of this soil out of the way. Just a tiny bit, because Jerusalem artichokes are shallow rooted and they multiply because they are perennials. So I'll just put them just like that inside, about a foot apart from what my sources told me. And then just cover it with my hand. And the beauty of this is that if you don't want to harvest them when it's harvest time and when the flowers die down, because they look like sunflowers, you can overwinter them into the soil, and if you don't pick them up at all, they will come back next year. Okay, that's one patch, and then I think I have enough for another one. Seems I have enough this side as well, so I'll just do that. Okay. Nature always gives abundance, more than what you expect. So I will be doing this corner as well, because nature is beautiful. And that's how easy it is to plant Jerusalem artichokes. They mature in about 120 days. So 3 months from now, let's hope we're gonna have some beautiful sunchokes to eat, and also beautiful sunflower-like flowers that are gonna be super beneficial for the pollinators. That's a good thing always in my book. Good morning. Today is a beautiful day. It's about 9 a.m. and I got my coffee ready. Not sure about how the weather is gonna hold up today, because the forecast says that it's gonna be like super rainy around 2 o'clock. So I better get a move on. What I want to do today is here in the back prep this big chunk of soil, rake it so I can make it even, because I took quite a lot of the soil from the edges and put it in the bed. So you see all of this, need to even it out, break all of this mounds that the previous owner did when he tilled the place. I'll get this place ready to plant the Three Sisters. So I'm gonna prep it all, start somewhere, prep it all, and when I'm done I'm gonna start planting corn, beans and pumpkins. So this is the big project of the day. If the weather and time allows it, then I will start these segments here. So basically all around the banks of the creek I'll plant asparagus, so it holds up the thing and doesn't allow it to fall, because asparagus sends roots down about 3 meters or 15 feet. So that should be the plan for today. More mushrooms. Not sure about this mushroom, doesn't look edible. Any of you out there who knows mushrooms better than me, maybe you know if this guy is edible or not. I want to do so much, but I am dependent on the weather now more than ever. But I am happy that I finished making the beds and prepping the front of the property, the soil, so that I may start the seedlings as well. So with that being said, this is the plan for today, and I will keep you guys updated in between. I don't know what's happening. I have a not so good feeling today. I had a good sleep, but I know when sometimes you have a bad gut feeling, and I don't know why, because everything seems to be on track here. I don't know. I learned to trust my instinct, so not expecting anything bad to happen. Maybe change, maybe something. It's tricky to interpret this feeling sometimes, you know. Maybe there's some of you out there who are more in tune with this other side of consciousness, of existence. But sometimes I get this really weird states of being, and I don't know what to do with them. Because it shouldn't be. Everything here is beautiful. The sun is up. The birds are flying above and singing. The trees and the bushes are starting to develop their leaves. I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, I'll keep you posted with what I'm gonna be doing today and how much I managed to do. And yeah, need to think, need to stop, put my phone away, put cameras on pedestals, and you know, on time lapses, and maybe be a bit away from technology and just be alone with my own thoughts and see what's happening. Look inside instead of looking outside. I'm sure that's where I'm gonna find the answers. Okay, see you later. So this basically are gonna be the tools I'm gonna be using today. Got the rake to prepare the soil. I found an old tool handle when I just, you know, chipped away with a knife and made it into a hole maker, and then I measured like 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch measuring tape to make sure that I get like a foot in between the rows. And then my seeds, I got different types of corn, I got beans, and I got pumpkins. Then a tiny camera for the time lapse, because I'm not gonna take you guys on a 4 or 5 hour journey, or how long it's gonna take. So just an observation I want to make, because this part of the land was tilled compared to everything else that I've done, it's much harder to work with. I mean, it's made out of freaking stone, so that's why tilling is so destructive. It encourages the next generation or the next year to be tilled again, because it's impenetrable, it's like a stone. So heavy equipment or a plow is needed to dislodge the soil again, because you cannot directly plant into it. I mean, I know by regenerative practices I was supposed to plant a cover crop, terminate it, and plant into that residue. But I don't have that luxury of time right now, so I need to put in the hard work, break my back, and do what I've done, which is just dislodge it slightly, like the top layer with the rake, and then plant into that. And hopefully the rain that's coming today is gonna do the watering for me and help me get this work done in a better way. I freaking hate tilling, but I do get it. If you inherit a couple of thousand acres of tilled land, and it's very hard to go regenerative because you literally need to lose 1 year and plant cover crops to soften it out. And so that also gives me excitement and hope that this year, after I'm planting the corn, the beans and the squash, and they start coming out, I will mulch all of this space, and the whole tilling process is going to be ended, and from now on this piece of soil is going to be healthy and moist and soft bodied and regenerative or regenerated. Also, another thing, when I was digging around the greenhouse or working with any of this type of soil, you know, the one that has a living root into it, the life inside of it explodes. Like, got per spade you got 15 to 20 earthworms, all kind of myriapods and tiny worms, big worms, fat worms, skinny worms. You got so much life, ants, termites. It's so much happening. Like, and that's just the tip of the iceberg what I'm enumerating now. Whereas here, the only thing I've seen by disturbing that top 2-inch part of the soil is a couple of tired earthworms, and that's about it. Now, my hope is that being so close to that side of the forest and to that side of the forest, as soon as I put the regenerative processes in place, my knee itches, then the mycorrhizal fungi will repopulate this area, will move in, so to say, and just help regenerate the soil and make it much better. Just an observation of how destructive and damaging tillage or tilling is for the soil and for the future generation or for the future crop years, because it kind of forces you to just go with machinery, with big plows and discs in order to just be able to plant in it. It's tough, and it took me like 15 minutes to do just, what's that, a foot. So that's my maybe 20 more times. So my plan of finishing this today before the rain comes in 3 hours time doesn't look like. Maybe this is a 2-day project and I've spoken too early. Let's see. After 2 days of crazy weather where it rained, I'll show you how much it rained. You can see over there where the steps are, which usually the water is about 1 hand, or like, how big, like 3-4 inches below the steps over there. And now look at that. My plan for today is to continue planting over there the corn, beans and pumpkin until I finish all the seeds that I have. And after that, as soon as I finish with that, I would love to go into the greenhouse, make some soil, which I've already taken over there. If you can see, I got the soil over there and the perlite and the tiny seed starter pods thingies, because it's the beginning of May and the weather here is gonna change soon. The weather is gonna change soon. Meaning that I think in a week or so we're gonna have temperatures above 15 Celsius. 20, 21 I've even seen on my 10-day forecast. So that's my cue that I need to start planting my, my tomatoes, my cucumbers, my peppers and so on. So by the end of May I have plants that are about 4 weeks old, 3.5, 4 weeks old, and then I can plant them outside. Everything else is prepared, the beds are ready, everything is mulched. I think I'll use some of that remaining mulch to top up the pathways, because in some places where I didn't make it thick enough because of this humongous rainfall, the plants started to come out. You can see over there, because the rain was so massive, they moved the wood chips around, so it made space for them to kind of get out. I'm not gonna waste too much of your time talking today because of this windy situation, until I actually go into the greenhouse and I'm gonna start the seedlings. Until then, need to put some more layers because it's very windy, and go back there and plant the corn, well, the three sisters. Okay, see you in a bit. The weather finally turned around, and as you can see, I'm 2 layers lighter now because I just finished planting the corn, the pumpkin, the beans. I actually ran out of beans, so I had to replace them with peas to get my 3 sisters, and that kind of took half of the piece of land that I showed you. So then I took opposite alignment, so I did the corn, you know, straight with the 3 sisters, and then opposite direction to how I did the corn, I took that space and I split it in between, I think 6 rows if I'm not mistaken, and I planted squash, courgettes, and some more pumpkin seeds that I had. Got I think 4 varieties of courgettes and zucchinis, 4 varieties of squash and butternut squash, and then 2 varieties of pumpkins. And I mixed and matched them just to make sure that, you know, they were enough for the 3 sisters, and all the excess I've planted over there. Now I do have some excess seeds, so I'll start them in the greenhouse in the pods, and they will just be fillers. Wherever I'll have free empty space at the end of all the planting, I'll just fill the gaps with those squashes or courgettes. Done. Happy I'm done. Actually, the days is starting to finish slowly, but I have another very good project that I'm gonna do before I'm gonna leave, and that's to create a medicinal herb garden. So over there in the back, let me see if I can show you that piece of land that's not used. Basically, I kept hoping that we're gonna be getting the green light for chickens, but that didn't happen because it's still middle of COVID here and the situation is quite bad, so nobody's gonna organize a meeting under these circumstances, at least until probably middle of summer or autumn, until a lot of people get vaccinated and the situation gets stabilized. Anyway, I don't want to give up on hope, but I'm not sure when we're gonna get the approval to get chickens or bunnies in, which I've told you I just want them not for their meat but for their eggs and for their composting making capability. But I'm not gonna keep that land unused in the meantime. So what I'm gonna do is prepare a mix of wild flowers, herbs, medicinal plants. I'll scratch a bit the soil so that I make space in between, you know, all of the tentacles of the grasses that are there. I'm not gonna till, I'm not gonna do any massive disturbance, and I'm gonna directly sow all of these wild flowers and herbs and different types of hay, and you know, like you would find in a native pasture or prairie. And that's going to be my medicinal herb garden. Most of the herbs and flowers and plants that I'm going to be sowing I've picked on purpose because I know them for their medicinal properties, so that's what I'm going to do. And as soon as they mature, which is probably beginning of autumn, one, I'll have a lot of medicinal herbs that I can make teas and decoctions and tinctures from. Number one. Number two, the soil is going to be in a much better place because of the diversity that I'm going to be adding to that part of the soil. And best case scenario, if they decide to let us have chickens, then at the end of the season, before we go into winter time, I can harvest my medicinal herbs, leave a deep mulch of biomass over there, and build a chicken coop on top of that, so that I have a very good start for, you know, the composting system that I want to make with the help of the chickens. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. I'm going to make my mix of flowers and herbs, prepare the land a bit, and directly sow them. Ignore the box, it's just a container. I found this from the previous owner. I think just put it like this, and you have your seed container, which I think is genius. Very good for what I'm going to be doing right now. So I'm just going to make a mix of perennial flowers, wildflowers, herbs, everything that has medicinal properties. First, I have rue. It's very aromatic and very strong smelling. So in the kitchen is used to flavor oils and vinegars. So apart from the medicinal properties, it has a kitchen application as well. So I'll put the rue seeds here. You made all of them. Okay. And now we open the box. Now I have flowers here as well, which I'm not going to be using now because they're like normal size flowers. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to use them on the borders with the neighbors. So I'll put the flowers separately. Next one is called cowslip. And it's just going to be a full mix of everything I have, basically, because the seeds theoretically finish this year, so I don't want to risk keeping them for more than this year and then not having them viable anymore, so I'll just keep seeds from this harvest. Next, it's bird's foot, a herb called bird's foot. And this is gonna be, you know, how usually they do cover crops in 6, 12, 16, 21 species. Like, I'm gonna have insane amount of species here. This is called cornflower blue boy. And it has nothing to do with the corn plant. It's more of a flower. I could be bitter and unhappy and throw my toys left and right about the chicken situation or the bunny situation. I'll do something in the meantime while I wait, because I know eventually I will get it. It's nobody's fault that the pandemic came and there's no meetings. Okay, next one is called Stocks Night Scented. Fancy. Giant hyssop. Feels like the lineup for some award or something. Ooh, yellow rattle. This is very medicinal. This plant is cannot wait to have it all grown up and ready to harvest. St. John's wort. This is another medicinal plant, and also a very beautiful flower, wildflower. The sad thing is that, you know, we have to buy these seeds instead of just going to the fields and harvesting them. Now, in all fairness, I cannot say that I wanted to harvest them last year and I couldn't because they were all sprayed and killed. But I know this is the situation in many countries. Hyssop. And next one is called verbascum. It's called the Maltese cross. Some things I cannot pronounce. I mean the Latin name, so I'll just use the other name that's on the box. The cloth of gold. Again, I cannot pronounce the Latin name, so you're getting only the cloth of gold. But listen, when I looked for these seeds online, I looked for these names, cloth of gold, catnip, and all of that. I didn't look for the Latin names. And quick Google, you're gonna find them in nice organic shops online. This one is called Papaver communatum, ladybird. I think this is one of those plants, from what I remember, papaver plants, they're used as dyes, so or you can make dyes, clothes dyes from them. Corn poppy. This is the red poppy seed. Oh wow, that was a lot of seeds. Thank you. This is called bishop's flower. It's called English bluebell. I know I have just a small space over there, but even if some of these seeds are not viable because of the amount of seeds, wormwood, this is something that I really want to grow. It's gonna make it so that at least a couple of each variety, a couple of each plant will survive and mature, so I can get more seeds from them, because that's what I want. Okay, now I'm getting into the clover variety. I have two types of white clover, one crimson clover, and one is called Facelia tanacetifolia. Oh wow, my brain just like crashed. You know those Windows crashes and errors I get on the screen sometimes? That's what my brain did now. Anyway, you read it for yourself. Here you go, because I cannot withstand another brain crash. Had a couple of them today, so I'm gonna use some of this seeds as well. Not all of them, but like a couple of handful of each variety, because what this gonna do now is gonna create a micro ecosystem. Yeah, you're gonna have the clovers on the bottom, then you have medium-sized flowers and herbs, then you have tall grasses, then you have even taller grasses. So at each level you will have a micro ecosystem for plants, for butterflies, for all kind of bugs, and in the soil themselves, it's known that in healthy soils, herbs, grasses, wildflowers, perennials, they have roots that are 2 or 3 meters deep, like asparagus. So, and by the way, they're all perennials because I'm gonna let most of them self-seed. And if we don't get approval for chickens, but we get approval for bunnies, then I don't need that space for bunnies. But I can feed the bunnies this amazing mix of grasses, So it's all positive, think positive, and so on. Okay, so I'll add a bit of this white clover. Not too much. crimson clover. I love crimson clover. I like the smell of white clover as well. But crimson clover, oh my god. Something sexy. Something really sexy about crimson clover. Nothing sexy about what I'm doing now, talking with my mouth full of plastic. But there was no mention about me being sexy. Just crimson clover being sexy. Handful of this crimson clover as well. Then this thing that I cannot pronounce, Phacelia tanacetifolia. Phacelia tanacetifolia. Oh my god, I just created new neural pathways. I feel smarter already. Must be from those mushroom extracts that I've been taking over the last 2 months. Smells very nice. So a handful of this as well. Okay, so we have 3 varieties of clover that I just used and put back there.
Then I have times, so 3, 4, 5.
So 22 varieties of cover crop. Call it whatever you want. I call it medicinal garden because most of them, if not all of them, have medicinal properties. That's what it's gonna be. Then I'm gonna run out back over there and prepare the soil so that I can directly sow this inside of it and make my medicinal garden.